snake mites can destroy a whole collection. So what I actually did is I looked on so many different reptile mites treatments that I can do, from the Dawn soap. I mean, just about everything. Nicks, reptile spray, everything. Home remedies, whatever you thought of, I tried. But as I looked on YouTube and I looked on a lot of other channels, the first thing that came on, and that my man Reggie also recommended, was Frontline spray. I know. Come here. This is my vanilla cream male. And so I'm thinking, like, Frontline spray, use this before my dogs, for the fleas during the summer. You just making sure they don't, get any. But Frontline spray is for dogs. Using them on the snakes. Just couldn't believe it at all. But I looked on so many other YouTube channels and other, breeders, and they even were, kind of like, I never heard of it, So I looked on YouTube again, and I seen a lot of the big breeders actually recommending Frontline dog and cat spray for fleas, ticks, and lice and mites. So when I seen that, I was like, I'm going to give it a try. The active ingredients in it is not harmful to reptiles, any reptiles, period. So when I seen that, I took the whole liberty of going out trying to find some. But let me tell you guys, if you have like a feed store or farm store, you should call and check there first. A lot in my area, only one farm store is not really in my area, but it's not that far from me. Maybe about 20, 30 minutes. They actually had one bottle. Okay? But also you check on Amazon, you check on Petco. Petco actually was on back order, but still somehow got here. I'm not sure how. And also Amazon. So I ordered one off of Amazon first. Still had the one on Petco that was supposed to be on its way. And I also checked my close feed store. So when I say feed store, I mean like your farm animals and things of that matter. They should carry this. Maybe some of your tractor supplies might actually carry this Frontline spray. I recommend keeping this on hand if you're breeding reptiles, just period. Okay, just period. I know it's not really recommended to use on smaller, like baby snakes. So, or if you do, some people dilute it. I don't have any baby snakes. This boy is a year now, so he's not a baby. Actually, he'll be probably ready to be breeding any minute now. So it wasn't hard for me to actually put this on him. But I'm going to just show you guys basically how they recommend actually putting it on your snakes. I'm not going to do a treatment because there's no need to. He doesn't have any. The male that did have the mites, I made sure I treated him first. And I treated my other snakes in the collection just to be safe. Even though I was, going with precaution to make sure nobody else, carry it from one room to another just want to make sure. So the first thing you do is we're going to sit this boy down. I know he wants to hold on to me like crazy. You see, he won't let go. So he wants to hug the Frontline spray. So you get some gloves. Make sure you get some plastic gloves. Do not just do this with your hands. Okay, I don't recommend it. It's not anything in it that kill you or anything like that, but still, you just don't want that smell or this actually being on your hands, after a while. So this is alcohol based. Okay, this is alcohol based. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your gloves on. I'm not going to put them on. I don't want to waste any good gloves. Look at this guy. I don't even know if he knows where he's going. He wants to hang out underneath. Let's get this guy in control. Okay. So you put your gloves on first. Okay. Let's hold on here. So you put your gloves on. Once you got your gloves on, your snake is sitting there. You get the spray and you spray this in your hand with the gloves. You spray it. Okay. Let's get him back in here. So you spray it. You spray it. Your gloves. You got your gloves on. You spray it inside of your gloves. Spray it in your hand. And what you do after that, once you have the gloves on, you let the snake just easily go through your hands with the gloves on, with this spray on your gloves. You can even go like this on a snake if you want, just to make sure you're hitting everything good. You let the snake just go through your gloves. Well, he doesn't want to do it now. But I guess he already knows the treatment itself. So the snake just goes through. See how he's just moving through my hand? So just imagine you have gloves on, and this boy is moving through your gloves with this spray on it. It's alcohol based, okay? So I recommend just, you know, even if you want to spray them directly and just go over it with your gloves just to make sure everything is covered, do not get this in the snake's eyes. Do not get this in their eyes or their pits right here in their face. Don't directly spray their face. So what you do with that is you kind of hold them up here, hold them, and rub on their head, rub on their face. They're not going to like it. Some might even try to strike, but this is what we deal with in the reptile community. So you rub their face, kind of like rub the top of their head, rub the side, just to make sure that they're okay, and make sure no mites are trying to hide up in their face area. And let me tell you guys, once this spray goes directly on the snake, you will see the mites, just dying right then and there, falling off of the snake, dying right in the enclosure. Now, you can change the bedding or whatever you're using in the enclosure. I recommend doing it. Some people don't, some people say you don't have to. A lot of the people who use this did not have to change their bedding, but I do recommend changing the bedding. Get some new fresh bedding, and then once you're finished spraying this on the snake, please let this dry on the snake just a little bit. You're going to smell like an alcohol smell. It's alcohol based, so of course you're going to smell alcohol smell. Once it's on the snake, it kind of forms like this waterproof substance that's on the snake. And this is waterproof, so that's awesome too. It forms this waterproof thing that's on the snake, and you can actually feel this frontline spray on the snake. So what that does is when the baby mites that haven't hatched yet, that's on your snake, when they go to hatch, they'll crawl off the snake, come back on it, and go to bite the snake. And when they bite the snake, they get poison from the front line. The type of ingredients that's inside of the front line, they get poison and they die also. I recommend maybe if you got a very, very bad mite outbreak, maybe 2 to 3 treatments that you have to do, and I say maybe do that every 7 days. But if you don't have a bad outbreak, maybe about 1 treatment, you should be good. Sorry, you guys hear my water monitor in the back. You might only need maybe about 1 treatment, and that's it. That's all you really need. You don't have a bad outbreak. Now, if you do have a bad outbreak, then I recommend doing more. Look at her. She kind of sees the snake. So, but I just recommend that. I wouldn't recommend anything else. So that'll be, I just recommend maybe about 1 treatment. You wouldn't need any more than that. So once the snake is treated, what I do recommend, okay, I'm gonna tell you guys what I do recommend. Taking the water bowl out of the snake's enclosure after you just finished treating this snake. I usually wait maybe a day or 2, and then I'll put the water bowl back in. The reason being is because even though this frontline spray is waterproof, you don't want this to get inside the water bowl where your snake drinks, or your snake might even go from being used to sitting inside of the water bowl trying to get the mites off of it. You don't want that. So I usually take that out, and I usually put the water bowl back in there in about a day or 2 after the frontline spray has been sitting on the snake for a while. And I'll just keep coming back, checking. Like I said, you might still see some mites crawling on your snake. That's okay. That's just the ones that maybe just hatch, and they're just sitting around in there. What I do recommend too is an extra step is just to go and clean the enclosure, just to make sure that whatever is inside the enclosure kind of dies off. You can clean that with just about anything from a Dawn soap or anything really, doesn't matter. You don't have to spray the enclosure with this frontline spray. That's what you don't have to do, because it's going to kind of put more of a substance on the bottom of the enclosure, and just it's extra spray that you're using for nothing. You want this on the snake. The enclosure you can clean with just about the Dawn soap. You want to clean it with that. I don't recommend bleach, because that also kind of puts a substance, and it's also strong after a while. And those plastics carry pores, and that plastic will just soak up that bleach smell, and it will stay inside. So I don't recommend using that with any type of disinfectant. For the reptiles, you might see about a reptile spray that you can spray inside of the tubs, the containers, or rack, or tanks. You can spray inside. If you have a tank, it's way better. You can just take it outside, get some hot water, and just clean the whole thing. But if you're in a rack system, it's kind of harder, so I just recommend just taking the tub out and just kind of wiping it down, getting a good wash down, whatever you want to use. But I do recommend a type of reptile spray, a disinfectant. And then from there, you're pretty much done. It's not a lot of treatments you have to do. Like I said, unless you have a huge collection, then you might want to do maybe 2 to 3 treatments just to make sure. I don't have a huge collection, so I'm glad. And that I also had that male in a separate room from these other snakes that I already had in here. But like I said, I just treated them just to make sure. Some snakes can't use it, so like the king snakes and it's a lot of other, mostly not pythons, mostly like your king snakes, your corn snakes. Their scales is kind of different, and they cannot kind of take this in very well. It's mostly like your pythons or your boas or your Burmese and things like that. So I don't recommend using that on the king snakes or corn snakes. But anything far as your pythons, your boas, you're good. It's a straight shot. You even look on some of the other YouTube videos who even explain how they use this and how they recommend using it. You guys will see that they'll tell you not to even use it on baby snakes because it's strong. So your snake is maybe over a year old and you're good. But if they're small, they just hatchling, it's 2021 or 2020, don't recommend using it. You might just have to go the high road of using a Dawn soap, or they show you on the other YouTube channels how to dilute it the right way and the measurements that you dilute it. Not soak the snake and remember to spray. You don't need to soak the snake in Frontline because you're going to be using a whole heap of bottle and this stuff is strong. It's like alcohol. I mean, that's like you getting a tub full of alcohol and soaking in it. After a while, it's hard to breathe and the fumes that's coming from the alcohol is pretty strong. So you don't need to do that. But from there, once you spray this, this snake has this stuff on him, her, whoever, I can guarantee you that these mites will be gone. No problem. These mites will be out of your head. This stuff works perfect. Like I said, it's an alcohol based, so you guys will kind of smell an alcohol smell. And when you put it on a snake, you will notice it has like an alcohol substance kind of feeling to it. But after a while, once it dries up on the snake, then you'll see it. Like I said, I recommend spraying it on the snake, letting it dry, so kind of keep the snake out for a little bit. You got the gloves still on, letting it go through your hands and things like that. And then putting them back in the enclosure. Don't just spray them and then dump them back in the enclosure because it's not going to be good. You don't want them to put all of that stuff while it's still wet all in the enclosure. You want that stuff to kind of drop on them. But that's pretty awesome. It dries pretty quickly. It doesn't take that long. But when you go in the enclosure, you might even smell a little bit of the Frontline that's coming from off the snake. Like I tell you guys, once I looked at seeing this stuff, I cannot believe that people in the reptile community, I can't even believe you don't even see this at the reptile shows. This is something that needs to be on hand, a Frontline spray. I would recommend this if you have a collection or you're looking to be a breeder or just a hobbyist, to keep this spray. If you got beta dragons, if you got monitors, even though most of the time they don't really go on them, but just if you want to be safe, I'm telling you, I recommend this Frontline spray. It helps. It killed, maybe in less than 2 weeks or a week, those mites that were on that male snake is gone. Like I said, you can pick these mites up, man, from pet stores, reptile shows. Some breeders might not know they have them in their collection. They send you a snake, the snake has it. So I always just recommend just, kind of isolating that brand new snake that you're getting from the reptile show or you're getting from a buddy of yours. Mites, man, they lay in these crevices on these snakes. And if you got a huge collection, you don't pay attention to them. You don't really notice what's going on or who's hiding where, especially if you have a huge collection. So I just always say, I think this is something that should be at least done maybe about once a month maybe. I think this should be just done on the snakes just to make sure that nothing new has came in the collection since you've been at the reptile shows or anything like that. I do recommend not, when you come from a reptile show, friends, or pet store, when you go into your reptile room, to not wear those same clothes because mites do latch on to clothing or things in that matter, and they can transfer just like that from the reptile show or your friend's house or anybody else, and they come right inside of your room, and that's sometimes how you can get it. From new, bedding. I know some people say they get it from bedding and things in that matter. But this male, I'm not sure. Not this male, but another male that I got. Not sure where he got it from, but he got it. Okay, nonetheless, he got it. and that's what happened. But you can see this boy actually shed his skin from after using the Frontline spray, and I mean he's good. See his belly, nothing on him, nothing wrong. You don't see him breaking out. He's not, looking like something burnt him or any of these chemicals in here burnt him. No, nothing like that happened. He's good. He's healthy. He's even ate 2 rats for me since, being treated with it, and my other snakes also ate no problem. So this is awesome. The snake that did have the mites, they're gone. I mean, they're completely gone. You don't see them in the rack. You don't see them crawl or anything. I use paper towels, so it's pretty easy to notice if you see mites in your tank or in your rack system or whatever. You can see them. They're black. They look like poppy seeds. They're not hard to miss. The babies are kind of like a brownish, reddish color, so they're not hard to miss on white. Anything white. If you got bedding in there, then it becomes kind of harder to see something moving. But it wasn't hard to kind of treat them. I'm glad I took this step with this Frontline spray. I recommend it. I'm telling you guys, if you have a reptile collection, please, order on bulk if you have to with this Frontline spray, because you just never know when you need it. Never say never. I know a lot of people, I never had snake mites in my life, this and that. You might actually have some and just don't notice it yet. Frontline spray, go get it. If you're breeding any type of reptiles, period, go get it. I recommend it. Without further ado, you guys are watching Taz Exotics. Me and my boy, we're out.